Thank you, Peter. That was very good. I appreciate you taking time out of what is, I know, your busy schedule to come to visit with us tonight and to share your story. That was a great example of why we need healthcare reform now. And Peter is not alone, and we know that many other small business people are going out of business because they just can't afford healthcare coverage at this time. Now I'm going to introduce our speaker, and I'm very excited to introduce Kathleen Stoll. She's the Deputy Director and Director of Health Policy at Families USA. As Lisa mentioned before, Families USA has been an advocate for healthcare reform for over 25 years, and they do a lot of great work. And recently they produced several reports, which Kathleen is going to pass out to you in a little bit, but some of them, some of the research that they've done to help healthcare reform is comparative effectiveness research, a potential tool for reducing healthcare disparities, and why the public insurance plan is an important part of healthcare reform. So that's just a sample of the information that's available on their website. They're great reports, and they're often used by not just advocates like ourselves, but by legislators who want to have a source so that they can, prove to people that yes, we really do need healthcare reform, and yes, it really will change people's lives. Ms. Stoll is currently, she works for Families USA, and prior to that, she served for 10 years as the Director of Public Policy at the Center for Women's Policy Studies, and the Director of National Resource Center on Women and AIDS Policy at the Center for Women Policy Studies. I knew about Ms. Stoll from my work in Missouri. I was working on Medicaid and healthcare reform there, and she worked with my friend Joel Ferber, and I heard you were just talking about him. So I know she's got a great reputation and is very well respected, so I hope you'll welcome her warmly.
Sometimes it's odd to be introduced as an expert from Washington. So I'm really from Missouri, and I love folks in Missouri. But let me just humanize myself for a minute, because I think that's the key to being effective in this whole debate, is to use stories like Peter's to remind us that this is real. And my husband is a small businessman too. Where's Peter? I want to have eye contact with Peter. He has 4 employees. He is a very good guy. He's a contractor. He does remodeling, does bathrooms and stuff, and he's always provided health insurance to his employees. And as of 3 years ago, he could no longer afford to do that. And I've known him for a long time, and I know that he would not have dropped health insurance. I'm married to the guy, and I'm pretty damn well. He would never drop. Can I cuss him here? I think, having spent some time in a Unitarian church, I'll get away with it. But he really wanted to offer health insurance, and it's simply not possible in this country for him to do that. He, in fact, has rheumatoid arthritis, and so he's not insurable in the state of Virginia, and therefore neither is his employees. So it hits home for us. These are folks, my friend Roger, who works with Sean, my husband, real guy, real person in front of me, needs insurance, cannot buy it. He's 50 years old. My husband cannot buy insurance. Luckily, he's able to get coverage through Families USA. I think we all have family and stories like that, and my point is, yeah, this is real to me. I'm not just a lawyer in Washington, D.C. doing this work. This is real for my family, real for my husband's employees, real for my friends. And the other thing I'll tell you about me is I live in West Virginia on the weekends, so don't totally write me off. It's one of those D.C. crazies. And I can tell you that a lot of my neighbors in rural West Virginia really don't have access to coverage. And in West Virginia, the Medicaid eligibility level is 37% of poverty. So there's no safety net for folks, even women with children in West Virginia. So now I'm going to sort of kick into my speech. I hope it's not too dull for you. And let me just, my colleague Jessica, who's our Director of Field Operations, I'm going to drop stuff here, is in the back. We brought 2 handouts because I'm always bring gifts when I go visiting. So we have one that's called 10 Reasons to Support the Healthcare Reform Debate, to help you identify. identify talking points and things that are real in the bill that are going to help folks. And we have another one which reflects the times, called Responding to Attacks on Healthcare Reform. And like many of you, I lived through 93, 94, and I never saw the kind of vicious, ruthless attacks that we are witnessing now in the month of August in this country on healthcare reform. It takes my breath away, and I have, as you know now, worked on HIV and AIDS issues for years in my professional career. And even the attacks that we witnessed through the beginning stages of the AIDS debate, the homophobia and the hate. I think the hate that we're seeing now and the misinformation is even higher. The level is beyond anything I've ever seen. And so every single one of you must get involved and raise your voices to counter the negative and misinformation and blatant misinformation that's out there right now. August 17th, I believe that you will have a town hall with Senator Carper, and I hope that you will encourage Senator Carper to participate in that town hall and then show him how many positive voices for healthcare reform are in your community. And trust me, Senator Carper is a target for us. He's a good guy, and we want to make sure he does the right thing in the U.S. Senate. So let's talk a little bit. Do you know where we are in the process? You probably all are following this issue. We have a bill on the Senate side from the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, and we really have 3 bills on the House side. And they're sort of all similar, and they're called, the sort of baseline bill on the House side is called the Tri-Committee bill. And then we have a little bump in the road where we have a sort of variation on the bill on the House side, which has been promoted, promoted is the wrong word, which was negotiated with what in Washington and out here too probably we call blue dog Democrats. More conservative Democrats who wanted some changes to the underlying House bill. So we really have 3 bills kind of in motion right now. A good health bill on the Senate side, a tri-committee House bill with amendments from the 3 committees that have jurisdiction, and this sort of blue dog compromise that is still moving through Energy and Commerce. They're actually going to continue markup in September on that bill. We thought they were done, but apparently they're not. That was a surprise, actually, even insiders in Washington. So 3 bills, so I'm going to try not to get too lost in the details that are what are different about the bills. What is important to know in this process is you have 3 pretty darn, I'm going to say darn in here, 3 darn good bills. One's probably better than the others here, and one is probably better than the others there. What happens next is in September, the Senate Finance Committee will move forward a bill, and the question really will be, what does the Senate Finance Committee bill look like, and how will things change from there? So August is critical. If we do not win the message debate in August, the Senate Finance Bill will move to a more conservative place. Under Senator Baucus and Senator Grassley's leadership, we will start to see some undermining of core principles that we care about. At the same time, we're losing, folks, the message debate in the airwaves. Every one of you should be doing radio talk shows. You can go to our website, familiesusa.org, and we have a radio talk show tool, and you can find out the local radio shows in your area. Call in. I have to do these conversations by radio, and I am getting, even on progressive radio stations, and I'm talking Pacifica here, folks, I am getting a lot of negative call-ins. They are mobilized out there calling in with negative messages. So I need, for those of us who do these radio shows, could we have some positive call-ins? And they're infiltrating even into our more progressive radio shows. You can imagine